are pruning around the power lines so that the trees don't disrupt sort of power that goes to the houses. So we'll sort of come up to a job like this, park our tower in the desired location and sort of put on our harness, get our tools ready, make sure it's all safe, get our traffic management out, and then we'll head on up and start pruning the branches.
Thanks, Carrie. Welcome to our attendees there that I can see and everyone joining us today for episode 4 of Come to Work With Me. My name is Audrey and I am coming to you from the land of the Taungurung people, the traditional owners. I would like to acknowledge my respect to, of course, past, present and emerging. And I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which all of our friends are meeting with us from today. Now, everyone who's sort of jumped on the Zoom, please remember to put in the comments where you're joining us from today. And if you have any questions for our very awesome guest today, Martin. How are you, Martin?
Good, nice to meet you, Audrey. Doing very well.
I am very glad. Now, we have sort of just seen a video of a little bit of what you do. Now, please explain to the people tuned in what you do and who you are.
So my name is Martin and I'm an arborist and I'm with Citywide, and we work through contracts with councils. So we'll go and take on all their sort of trees that they have, and whether it be street, park, and we'll run through the whole council and prune them all through like a schedule so that they don't sort of disrupt the services like power or sort of people's properties, that kind of thing.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, how did you get to be in the role you are today? Did you know from when you were at high school that this is where you're going to get to, this is what you want to do, or how'd you get here?
No, it wasn't at high school. It sort of was not that long. I'd say only about 3 years ago that I sort of learnt about the industry and the job. I sort of did a lot of other things. I did BCA and completed it, and then I went to uni actually, and then finished that, but sort of decided it wasn't right for me, and then I sort of eventually stumbled upon something more outdoors and something that I might have actually enjoyed doing, and that's when I sort of found it.
Fantastic. And sort of what has been your craziest experience, or what's your craziest story that you've had to, endeavor at work? Have you climbed, trees that are that high that you've sort of been like, whoa, this is bloody scary? Or what's been the funnest experience, I guess?
There's been quite a few ones. I think when I first started, we mainly use sort of trucks and elevated work platforms to sort of prune our trees. It's a lot quicker and safer than climbing, and especially for street trees, it would take a lot longer to sort of have to climb every single one and being near the power lines. But there's different sizes, and within the first few weeks I was here and I got my license to operate them, I went up with the boss in a 75-foot tower, so it's about 30 meters, and it was a pretty windy day and rainy, and it was my first time in this tower, and we went all the way pretty much to the top to prune this large eucalypt gum tree, and it was quite the experience. I was sort of holding the branches while the other guy was cutting them, and then we'd have to sort of throw them down so that the wind didn't blow them too far away, and it would have to land right in the correct spot. It was quite the first few weeks.
It's definitely a talent. You watch your local arborists at work, where we are, because we've got so many trees out this way, and it's definitely a talent for sure. What advice would you give your younger self, knowing what you know now?
Probably not to sort of have to find something straight away, because I remember when I was doing VC, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I actually really enjoyed biology, and so that's sort of what I went into with my university degree. I did a Bachelor of Science, and it's not, I don't definitely regret doing it, but I sort of just went into it because it was something to do, not necessarily I didn't really know that it was going to be for me or not. So I might have taken it a bit slower and then sort of worked my way up instead of sort of starting at the top and then coming back down.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've just mentioned that you studied science at university. So how did you go from, year 12 into university and be like, this is not the career path I want to go down? And did you just stumble across becoming an arborist, or
I sort of
evolve?
Yeah, it sort of, at first I thought I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll be a scientist, and that's what I want to be in a lab and I don't know, do genetic research and whatnot. And it is very interesting, even to this day to me. But I sort of realized I wanted to be more sort of outdoors and not sort of inside sort of all the time. I'd enjoy that more and get more out of it. And so I was already towards the end of my degree, and I decided to finish it anyway, just because I sort of started it, and it was still is very useful knowledge and stuff to have. And then I sort of lied low for a little bit, just worked in a factory, sort of doing research on sort of what jobs I might like, or what I might be interested in, what industries are sort of booming. And I eventually sort of found people talking about arboristry and pruning trees, and I was like, yeah, that's something I would really like. And so I sort of went more research into it and applied to a bunch of places. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So have you faced many challenges coming into this industry?
Not normal ones, I'd say. So Citywide, who employed me, I applied to a bunch of different places, but they were the only company that got back. And so at that time, I sort of didn't know how big Citywide was or what kind of company they were. I knew that they had sort of a lot of services with councils, and sort of artistry was the one that I was interested in. But a lot of, I think having the bachelor and at least putting that on my resume sort of might have scared a couple of the private companies away in that sense. Like they sort of didn't want to take me on. They'd rather take someone younger on, or someone that hadn't sort of gone to uni. It was sort of, maybe it was a conflicting interest for them. So Citywide, I think they sort of gave me the opportunity. I went to an information session, and then they sort of showed me what they're sort of about and sort of the ropes and then I was like, yeah, really interested. And then they employed me and put me through my apprenticeship. And it was pretty good, actually. I was pretty lucky and happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think for young people it's a career that they wouldn't necessarily get into? Do you think that it would be good for, kids who have gone down the vet and VCAL or even VCE, pathways to end up in your industry? Do you think the starting out young is a good thing, or do you reckon take it slow and wait?
I think there's a lot of sort of courses and stuff after high school that can sort of build up to it. So instead of doing the bachelor, it's sort of not related, but you can do like a certificate 3 or something even smaller, just getting a chainsaw ticket and just starting as that. And you can get that very early on and just have a feel for it within a few months. It's sort of not even like something that you have to put in 2 years or 3 years like university. So you can sort of put in that first initial time and sort of see if it's right for you. And if it isn't, then you haven't sort of put in a lot of time and sort of wasted that resource that you have. So it's sort of quite good in that regard. And it's sort of, you build up for later. Let's say you do like it and you want to continue, starting at a lower education level, you can sort of go up through the ranks. So you do the Cert 3 and then do the Cert 5, like a diploma, and then you can even get and do the bachelor later.
Yeah, no, fantastic. So what does a day in your life look like? Past the wake up, brush your teeth, get dressed, get off to work, all that boring stuff. But when you get to work, what does it look like?
So we rock up, and then we all sort of head into the depot, all the crews, and then the crew leader assigns work to us. So they'll or anything else that's important that they need to bring up. So they'll have our list of streets we've got to go to and prune the trees at. And we sort of know which ones we'll need doing once we're there. We've got a computer that sort of says, do this one and this specific job. And then it's up to us to know which branches to cut off based on their job. But we'll, before we head out, we'll check the trucks, make sure that it's all safe and working. And then got all our right equipment. We'll head out and then pull up to the first job, sort of assess the tree first, so we know where to park the truck. And then get the truck in the right spot, set up our traffic management so that, like, because we sort of have to park right on the street, we've got to make sure cars and pedestrians and cyclists get around us, and so it's safe. So we set all that up, and then we can, then we hop up, put on our PPE and head on up in the bucket like you probably saw in the video and start pruning away. And so when we do the assessment, we'll know what branches we've sort of got to prune before we even get up there. So we can sort of methodically work our way through the tree.
Yeah, fantastic. Now this is the time where I'm going to do a shout out to the people tuning in. If anyone has any questions, please put it in the chat or in the Q&A part. We'll definitely double check before we go. But other than that, Martin, thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to learn. I've been able to learn so much about so many different industries over the last couple of weeks. Come to work with me, and never ever would I have thought to learn about what you do.
Oh, I agree. Back before I knew about the industry, you wouldn't sort of know. I didn't notice like pruners or chippers and people like tripping up branches at all. But now that I'm in the industry, I see them everywhere. I can also, like, hear them and be like, oh, that's a company that does pruning and stuff like that.
Your eyes go straight to it when you drive past.
Yeah, you notice it now. Yeah.
Nitpick here and there. Nah, that is fantastic. Well, Martin, thank you again for tuning in. Thank you to Citywide for letting you pause your day at work and come for a chat.
Yeah, no, glad to. Yeah.
No, wonderful. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. And remember, next week we've got 2 episodes. Next week we'll definitely put up all the information about that online. Martin, take care. Have a great day at work. Better get back to it. I'm sure there's something.
Yeah, I think my offside is waiting.
Yep, beautiful. Thank you, everyone. We will turn off our cameras now.